Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is Mark Roden, and in today's video we're going to be going over the 5 reasons you should and the 5 reasons you should not buy a Hyundai Tiburon GT. Why? Somebody said they wanted to see a video on the Hyundai Tiburon, man, so here you go. There you go. It's kind of an interesting car. I feel like I never get to really talk about the Tiburons, man, because they're not like, you know, the most cool, eye-catching, view-grabbing car, you know what I mean? So I don't really get to talk about them too much, but they are pretty. We'll talk about it today. We'll talk about it as a whole point of today's video. I don't want to spoil it. Media of the day, though, is Shawshank Redemption. This is not only one of my favorite movies of all time, but also one of my dad's favorite movies of all time. And this man, in his like 57, I want to say, yeah, 57 years of living, has watched maybe a grand total of 10 movies. He's not a movie guy at all, never really watches movies at all, and even he is like obsessed with Shawshank Redemption. Who isn't? If you've ever watched Shawshank Redemption, you understand it's an absolute banger, and all the people that haven't watched Shawshank Redemption are like, why do people act like it's such a good movie? Because it is. Go watch it if you haven't already. It's an absolute banger, like one of the best movies of all time, period. Go give it a watch. But without further ado, let's go right into it on the 5 reasons you should and the 5 reasons you should not buy a Hyundai Tiburon GT. The way these videos work, by the way, is we do 1 reason you should, 1 reason you shouldn't, 1 reason you should, 1 reason you shouldn't, until we get to 10 total, 5 of each, and then at the end of the video, I tell you my final thoughts on the car. Let's get into it. All right, and reason number 1 why you should consider buying a Hyundai Tiburon GT is simply put the price, right? I mean, it's just, you can find a Tiburon GT for $5 grand all day, every day, and that's going to be a decent one too, like low mileage, well kept Tiburon GT. If you don't mind like a clap box, if you're just buying one for like a winter beater or whatever, you could even look at spending like $2K on these things, and they are dirt cheap for what they are. Like at the end of the day, they are still a sporty car. I wouldn't classify them as a sports car, but they're more sporty than, you know, your average daily driver commuter car, at least, and they do look at least different than anything else you'll see on the road. They're also a coupe, and so usually those are obviously wanted cars, and the price of this one doesn't really reflect that at all. They're dirt cheap. Yeah, let's just get it out of the way, man. Reason number 1 why you should not buy a Hyundai Tiburon GT is the tuning potential of the car. This is like the most famous reason as to why car guys don't really like them, because again, on paper, a Hyundai Tiburon GT has all the things necessary to make it a enthusiast car, right? It's pretty good looking. I feel like it's obviously looks are personal preference or whatever, but I think all of us, when we first saw it when we were children, were kind of like, hey, Tiburon GT, good looking car. It's got a decent amount of power out of the factory for what it is, for its weight and everything like that. So what was the reason why people didn't like it, and the reason why nobody really talks about the Tiburon GT anymore? Well, the car just doesn't handle power at all. I mean, at all. Like, getting 50 extra horsepower out of this motor is a nightmare. It's a damn job. And even then, you'll get the 50 horsepower out of the motor just for it to blow up the next week. It's really unfortunate, honestly, but the tuning potential of these cars is truly just awful. That's not to say companies didn't try, though, because reason number 2 why I think you should buy a Hyundai Tiburon GT is the aftermarket support of the Tiburon GT. Again, this is a car that when it came out, everybody thought it was going to be a freaking banger. This was during that tuner car craze, during the late 90s, early 2000s. Fast and Furious came out, Need for Speed started coming out with those races, the street racing games and everything like that. And so every company wanted to hop on that craze. Everybody wanted to become a part of it, and every company made them, including Hyundai, obviously, with the Tiburon GT. That's kind of the whole point of the Tiburon. It was made for that kind of era. And so everyone wanted to capitalize on it, and so every single company started making parts for it. So for the Tiburon GT, there is a plethora of different options when it comes to modifying your Tiburon GT. There's tons and tons and tons of aftermarket support. Now, are those mods going to actually make any significant difference? No. If anything, they might just blow your car up earlier rather than later, but they are there. However, reason number 2 why I think you should not buy a Hyundai Tiburon GT is the cabin space. This shouldn't be a surprise to anybody, but who knows, there are some unintelligent folks out there, so maybe somebody will be like, what? But yeah, a extremely small Korean coupe from the early 2000s is not going to fit your 6'4", 250-pound friend comfortably in the passenger seat. All right, like plain and simple. That's all there is to it. Americans are bigger than Asians most of the time. Obviously, that's a little bit like stereotyping there, but it's the truth, obviously. And so, as an American, if you are a taller guy, it's not going to be comfortable probably for you. You know what I mean? I had to witness this firsthand with my Integra. I bought my Integra, loving the Acura Integra, and the biggest downside, I say it all the time, but my biggest complaint with my Integra is the fact that I have no legroom. I have no headroom in my car because I'm 6'1". It's the same thing with a Tiburon GT. The car's interior is not suited for taller people. However, with that being said, reason number 3 why I think you should buy a Hyundai Tiburon GT is the cargo space. As you guys know, whenever I do these should you buy videos, I always just look up forums and see what the owners are talking about them, because I've obviously never owned these cars myself. So I always just look up what the owners are saying, and safe to say I was pleasantly surprised when I saw a lot of the owners' biggest praises about the car is the amount of cargo space they had for the car. Pretty cool. I mean, it's not like the coolest thing in the world, obviously, but I'm not going to say no to some extra cargo space. That's a problem, again, with all the cars I've owned in my life, except for my PT Cruiser, actually, is that I've never had any real space. Every time I want to get new tires put on my car, I have to ask one of my buddies to come and pick me up in their trucks or something, so I can get the tires down to the shop or something. It's always kind of a little bit of a nightmare, but apparently the Tiburon GT has plenty of cargo space for you, so that's a bonus, man. I was lying earlier, guys. I'm not really lying, but I was holding out on you. Because reason number 3 why I think you should not buy a Hyundai Tiburon GT is the fact that they're front-wheel drive only. Remember how earlier I said that the tuning potential is the main reason why car guys don't really care for the Tiburon GT? Well, that's part of it. But another big part of it is the fact that they were front-wheel drive only. Front-wheel drive, listen, I have a front-wheel drive car, okay? I'm not trying to hate on front-wheel drive owners. I know people get really defensive when people say anything bad about front-wheel drive, but the truth of the matter is the majority of car guys would rather own a rear-wheel drive sports car. That's what they think of when you think of a sports car. You think of a rear-wheel drive, high-horsepower car, right? The Tiburon was not that. It was a low-horsepower, front-wheel drive car, and it was just disappointing for most car guys. It was just underwhelming, and had this thing been rear-wheel drive, even if the motor wasn't great for building power, even if it was unreliable, blah blah blah, all that crap, people still would have bought it because we just love rear-wheel drive stuff. As a matter of fact, a really easy way of proving that is just looking at the Genesis Coupe. The Genesis Coupe has a good reputation in the car community. It's not the best, the people aren't loving it or whatever, but people do buy these cars. The Genesis Coupe is a popular car in the car community. It has the same problems as the freaking Tiburon, as a matter of fact, with the motors. The only difference is that it's rear-wheel drive. Either way, reason number 4 why I think you should buy a Tiburon GT is the fact that they're easy to work on. Yes, they're Korean, which is obviously a little bit different. You might not have the necessary tools or whatever, but don't worry, because it's still Asian, so it's still extremely easy to work on these things. At least that's what the forums are saying. You have plenty of space in the engine bay, all the bolts and all the stuff is easy to access, all of it comes off pretty easily, it's not a pain in the rectum, and on top of that, it's the early 2000s, so all these parts or whatever aren't over engineered, doesn't have a ridiculous amount of electronics in the car that's just putting wires 700 different places. That's the biggest freaking dude. I had to work on my buddy's 2015 Audi. It's just wires. It's not even, you're not even working on a motor anymore, you're just working on a big computer. It's just a nightmare. However, reason number 4 why I think you should not buy a Tiburon GT kind of ties back into the whole tuning potential thing, but just the fact that they are unreliable as hell. Even if you don't modify them, even if you don't try to add some power to it, if you don't maintain a Tiburon GT, it's not going to be friendly to you. Now, that's obviously something that I recommend for any car. It doesn't matter if you drive a Civic or a Koenigsegg. Maintain your car, you know what I mean? That's just good hygiene, I feel like, you know what I'm saying? But this one in particular, it's you got to maintain it, you know what I mean? It's not again, you can get away with neglecting a Civic, you can get away with neglecting a Corolla or a Camry or even early 2000s Nissans before the CVT. You could get away with neglecting some of these cars, Chevys, 2000 Chevys, old 90s Fords. You could get away with it. It's not that big a deal. They'll take it, they don't mind. This is not one of those cars. You got to stay on top of it. You have to have the BMW Mercedes-Benz level of maintenance, but for a Hyundai. It's a little unfortunate. But reason number 5 why I think you should buy a Hyundai Tiburon GT, and the final reason why I think you should, at least for today's list obviously, is the fact that they are still lightweight and manual transmission cars. Again, I mentioned earlier how rear-wheel drive is what car guys think of when they want a fun little sports car, right? Yes, but another 2 big things are this. Most car guys, I'm talking 95% of car guys, prefer manual transmissions over automatic transmissions. It's just how it is. We just like them. Feels more engaging, feels like you're more connected to the car. You all understand this. I don't know why I'm trying to explain it to you, but we like them. and we like our cars to be lighter. There are some guys, I guess, like the drag racing community that doesn't really mind this, but even those guys want their car to be lighter. It's not like they want the car to be heavy. They just end up choosing the heavy cars because they have the best chassis for what it is that they want to do and the best motor out of the get-go, right? But they still would rather their car be light. I mean, look at those drag cars, dude. The entire interior is just absolutely gutted 9 times out of 10. The panels are all fiberglass. The car is extremely lightweight. And this car from factory is lightweight with a manual transmission. Even though it is front wheel drive, you can still have a decent amount of fun. Now, when I say lightweight, by the way, I want to make it crystal clear. I'm not implying that these cars are like, you know, EK Civic, EG Civic, NA Miata levels of lightweight. Obviously not. They're still heavier than that, but they're around like the weight of like a BRZ, which is pretty good. However, reason number 5, and the final reason of today's video on why I think you should not buy a Hyundai Tiburon GT, is the stock performance of the car. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they come with around 170 horsepower. Again, going to the front wheels. And yes, even though the car is lightweight, it's not light enough to the point where, like for example, a GSR Integra makes 170 horsepower as well, and it's significantly lighter than the Tiburon. It's overall just going to be a more fun package. This car, it's really unfortunate, man, because it's like, again, the tuning potential is not there, but the stock performance is also not there. So it's like, you can't really make it fun, and it's not really going to be that much fun out of the gate either. I hope you guys are starting to understand the reasoning as to why the car community doesn't really love the Hyundai Tiburon GT. The stock performance of this car is just not it, unfortunately. It's not that fast in a straight line. It's going to be a little fun around corners, again, just due to the fact that it is lightweight manual transmission with a front wheel, well, I guess front wheel drive doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be fun in the corners, but you get what I'm saying. But you're never going to be able to get it to like Honda Civic, Integra, NA Miata levels of fun. So my final thoughts. Do I think you should buy a Hyundai Tiburon GT? I think the only real instance where a Tiburon GT, and again, I always try not to like insult people here, but I don't want to lie at the same time. The only real instance where I think a Tiburon GT is a good option and you should buy one is literally if you're just looking for a cheap winter beater that you can have a little bit of fun in. But that's about it. The reliability is not good enough for a daily driver, and the tuning potential isn't really there for a project car either, but they are still pretty cool and can be fun when they're running for the price that they are. So and what I'm trying to say is, like, if you need just a beater car for a couple of months out of the year, and you got $2,000 to spend on it, instead of buying, you know, a Subaru Outback like everybody buys, why don't you think about a Tiburon? You know, I mean, it's not going to be as great in the snow, obviously, since it's front wheel drive, but you're gonna have a little bit of more fun in it, I feel like. So that would be my only real recommendation. Other than that, though, I would say there are significantly better options out there for what you're looking for. But ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of today's video on the 5 reasons you should and the 5 reasons you should not buy a Hyundai Tiburon GT. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this. Let me know what reviews I'd like to see in the comment section down below. Check the links in the description for any of my other social medias or any of my other YouTube channels or any of that great mumbo jumbo. And thank you guys so much for watching, man. Next 5 reasons you should and 5 reasons you shouldn't video, I think it's going to be on the... oh, what was it? I had it right there on the tip of me. Oh, the Mark 7 GTI. Somebody said they wanted to see a video on the Mark 7 GTI, so we're doing that one next. I kind of want to do a couple of the GTIs anyways, just get them out of the way, because there's freaking so many of them. There's 8 generations of the GTI, and so it's like every time I like start a video series like this where we talk about one specific car, it's like, oh boy, we got to go through 8 generations of GTI. There are other cars with a lot of generations too, like the Accord. I'm pretty sure they have 11 generations of the Honda Accord right now. Same with the Civic, actually, as a matter of fact. Like, there are some cars with a ton of generations behind them as well, but they're all usually pretty different. Like, that's the thing with the GTIs, is they are different. Like, a Mark 7 GTI is obviously significantly different from a Mark 4 GTI, but the Mark 4 to the Mark 5 isn't that much different. The Mark 6 to the Mark 7 isn't that much different. The Mark 1 to the Mark 2 isn't that much different. Honestly, the Mark 3 to the Mark 4 isn't that. Like, they all kind of only change a little bit. Like, the Accord at least changes quite a bit, I feel like. But I don't know. Anyways, yeah, probably gonna be the Mark 7 GTI in the next should you buy video. But let me know, obviously, what other cars you'd like to see. Obviously, I go mainly off of recommendations for videos like this. So if you guys are interested in seeing your car in a video like this, I'd greatly appreciate a comment. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. That's been on, and have a nice night. I feel like I'm doing really good with the length of my videos recently. Do you guys think I've been doing pretty good with the length of my videos? Let me know.